Yep, you read that title correctly. Most people tell you that if you want to improve something in your life, you need to set goals. And I'm here today to tell you that's not exactly true. Goals can be bad for you, and they don't actually help you develop your skills. Keep listening to find out why. Alright, mate, and welcome to the BritSpeakPod, the podcast designed to help you understand British life, British culture, and of course, British English. So, let's get cracking. Hey up, mate. How you doing today? I'm not too bad. Thanks for asking, and welcome to episode 007 of the BritSpeakPod. I guess I should say 007, yeah? James Bond and all that stuff. Anyway, today we're talking all about why goals are not the best thing for you when you're learning a language. But before we get into all that, if you're new around here, my name is Dan. Nice to meet you. Do me a favour, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. I'd appreciate that. And if you're not new around here, welcome back, mate. It's nice to see you again. So, what am I actually going on about? Of course, everybody tells you if you want to improve something in your life, you need to set goals, right? Like the adage is, if you don't have a destination in mind, how do you know if you're going in the right direction? And I used to think that way too. I used to be a really goal-oriented person. I always set goals for everything in my life, right? No matter what it is I was doing, if I was learning a new skill, learning a language, saving money, trying to lose weight, whatever it is that I was trying to do to make something better in my life, I attached a goal to that because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. However, recently I bought a book. I say recently, when I was in England in May, I bought a book. I was just going around W.H. Smith, looking at books and magazines, and this book caught my attention. The name of this book is Atomic Habits. Maybe you guys have seen this book, maybe you know about this book. It's by a guy called James Clear, I think. I think it's by a guy called James Clear. I can't remember his name exactly. But this book, Atomic Habits, kind of changed the way that I think about goals and goal setting and stuff like this. Now, it's a pretty big book. If you want to read it, the link is in the show notes if you want to check it out yourself. And I'd recommend it. I think it's a good book. But it kind of puts things in a different perspective. It turns my opinion on its head, And now I've completely changed the way that I approach improving things in my life. And this means, language learning, it means my teaching, it means my business, it means, going to the gym and trying to lose weight, it means everything that I'm doing to try and be a better person. And now think about it differently because of this book. And I want to kind of break it down for you so you can apply the same ideas to your English learning journey, right? Because I think you'll find it really, really helpful in terms of actually making progress. So we all know what the normal thought process is, right? You decide something that you want to improve and you kind of pick a destination, if you like. You think about where you want to be in the future, maybe 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You think about how you want things to be at this point in the future. And then you say, okay, that's my goal. And it can be anything. It can be like, in 6 months, I want to run a marathon. Or in 2 years, I want to buy a house. Or in 6 months, I want to get a new job. Whatever it is, some improvement in your life that you want to make. And you set that as your goal, right? Then, that's a pretty big goal. Get a new job is like pretty vague, big goal, right? Or buy a house is pretty vague. How are you going to actually do that? So then you break this goal into mini goals, right? So you can actually step by step get to that goal. So let's say your goal, probably one of your goals is to improve your English, right? So then you set that into smaller goals. Okay, well, I'm going to learn all the intermediate grammar this year, and I'm going to learn 3,000 new words this year, and I'm going to take English classes every week for a full year, and so on and so forth. You break it down into these mini little goals, like these stepping stone goals, if you like, right? And then you're shown that you should kind of reevaluate these goals when you reach them, right? So you reach a goal, you tick it off your list, and then you go to the next goal, and you keep doing that until all your goals have gone, and then you repeat this process. Basically, you reevaluate where you are and where you want to go, and you just do it again, and you just repeat this over and over and over, right? Now, that's what I used to do anyway. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I used to do. And I was reading this book, and they said something in this book, and I'll read the exact quote out in a bit, but it completely changed the way I think about it. So I'm going to give you some reasons now why setting goals is not a good idea. And I know that sounds crazy because that goes against everything you've ever been told, but just listen to this, right? So goals, all they actually do is delay happiness, right? The point of a goal is, I'm not happy now. In order to be happy, I need to be at this point in my life. I need to be at this stage. I need to have achieved this thing before I can be happy, right? So that means that until you reach that goal, you can't be happy. And I'm sure you felt this way. You feel anxious, like you're not doing enough. And if I could just do this thing, I'd be happy then, right? And that might be true. Maybe when you reach a goal, you are happy. But that happiness is not going to last. Because immediately your brain is going to be, all right, what's next? What do I do next? What's the next goal? So you're kind of delaying happiness until you reach a goal. Then you can't even enjoy that happiness because you immediately set a new goal, which resets and means, okay, I'm not happy now. I need to get to the next goal, right? That really hit me when I read that because that is exactly how I felt. Exactly how I felt when I was doing anything, especially language learning. Because it's one of those things that language learning never really ends. So there's always another goal, and always another marker to get to. So you're never, ever, ever happy with your progress because you're just setting goals for yourself. And like that really resonated with me. I don't know if it resonates with you. Another thing that the book said that I found really interesting is think about a sports event. Let's think about the World Cup, right? And the final game. There's two teams, right? Team A and Team B. What is the goal of Team A? It's to win, obviously. What about Team B? Oh, their goal is also to win, right? Can they both win? No, of course they can't. There's got to be a winner. So the goal doesn't necessarily relate to the outcome, right? If Team A wins, great, they achieve their goal. Team B can't achieve their goal. So what? It's just a waste of time? Everything they did until that point were just pointless? Because they didn't reach the goal? No, winners and losers have the same goals. But that doesn't mean they're going to achieve them, right? So goals don't actually mean anything in terms of change in the grand scheme of life, right? Not necessarily, anyway. They might do, but not necessarily. Now, that's proper baffling as well to me. Like, the first time I read that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, mate. Good job, James. Well said. Another thing is that goals can only bring a momentary change. Imagine you're sat in your room and it's messy. Maybe you're like me. Your room's a mess. My room's a mess. And my goal, all right, I'm going to clean this room. And I spend the next 3 hours cleaning up my room and I achieve that goal. Wicked. I'm really happy with myself. Pat on the back, Dan. Good job. You've done it. You've achieved your goal. Let's chill out for the rest of the day. We both know that in a week's time, I'm going to be sat here in a dirty room because achieving that goal is only temporary. It doesn't actually fix the problem that's lying underneath, and that problem is that I'm pretty messy as a person. So really, I shouldn't be setting a goal to clean the room. I should be working on not being such a messy person. You know what I'm saying? So that is something else. And goals are a bit like dreams. They're just things that you want to happen. But unless you've got something in place to make it happen, it's just that. It's just a dream. It's not magic. You're not getting a wish from a genie in a, what they called, an urn, or what do they call, a lamp. You're not getting a wish from a genie in a lamp. I haven't seen Aladdin for a long time, I don't know. So you've got to actually, it's nice to have a goal, but how are you going to get there? Like, what are you actually going to do to make that reality, right? So goals take away that action. Your goal is just something like, okay, this is something that I'm going to do. It's pretty inflexible. It's just, might happen in the future, basically. So that's why this book teaches you that the goal is not the thing that you should be focusing on. That's not the thing. The thing you should be focusing on is habits. Making habits and systems that you can use every day. And it doesn't matter about the outcome. It doesn't matter if you achieve some set amount of thing that you need to do. You just make the habit of doing the action. And you focus on doing the action and enjoying the action, right? So instead of thinking like, okay, I need to lose weight. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to the gym, right? And then you start thinking like, okay, I need to go to the gym 5 times a week if I'm going to make this goal. And yeah, eventually you're going to get pretty sick of it because the goal is going to take forever. To lose weight, you're going to have to go to the gym a lot of times. But if you instead focus on the habit of, I'm going to go to the gym for 30 minutes and I'm going to enjoy it. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just going to go there and make sure I go there every day. That's it. The habit is I go to the gym every day. It doesn't matter what I do at the gym. It doesn't matter what I actually focus on while I'm there, if it's legs or chest or whatever. And it doesn't even matter if I see a benefit from it. You just focus on the action and repeating that action over and over and over and over, because the truth is, like anything in life, you need consistency. You got to do it every single day. Otherwise, you're not going to see any progress in 6 months, a year's time or whatever. Imagine it like this. If you want to run a marathon, right? And you're a big lad like me, you can't run a marathon. However, if you walked 1 kilometer every day, today that's going to make no difference, is it? And tomorrow you walk another kilometer, still not going to make no difference. However, if you walk a kilometer every single day for a year, probably going to make a difference to your life, mate. So it's focusing on those small actions that you can repeat over and over again without really thinking about it, without really worrying about the outcome of it. It's all about just doing and repeating that action, right? Because learning a language, like learning British English or whatever it is you're doing, like that is a lifelong commitment, mate. That is not something you're going to do in 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 10 months, a year. Language is a lifelong journey, right? So goals are only short term. Why are you doing something short term related to a long term effort? But habits, forming a habit is where you start long term change, right? You can start to change your life by repeating these habits over and over again for a long term, right? Imagine you want to get 100% better at something. That's hard. However, if you just want to get 1% better at something, 100 times, that's way easier. So you've got to think about it in a different way, right? And the other thing about habits, when you're not focused on the outcome and I've got to do this, I've got to do that, when you're just focused on the habit and the action, you might actually bloody enjoy it. You know, if you haven't all the stress of the stuff that goes with it, maybe you'll just actually enjoy sitting down and reading something in English. Not for the sake of, I've got to learn some vocabulary, I've got to learn some grammar. You just do it because, well, it's something I can do every day and I might get a bit of enjoyment out of it. That's surely a better system than forcing yourself to go through lists of words or grammar textbooks or something, you know? I don't know. For me, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So how can you apply this then? How can you apply this idea to language learning? Because, you know, we're dealing with learning British English, right? So how can you apply this? So instead of thinking like, okay, I want to be fluent in 6 months. what does that even mean? I want you to actually like quantify it. So step one, let's say we need to identify the tasks that need to be done. So if you want to become fluent in English, there are certain things that you've got to do, right? You've got to learn grammar. You've got to, memorize vocabulary. You've got to practice speaking and so on and so forth. So get some post-it notes, get a pen and paper, get some app, whatever it works for you, and make a list of all the tasks that need to be done in order to achieve fluency, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to take these tasks and break it down into the activity. What do you actually do? So let's say you're going to memorize vocabulary, right? What does that mean? Okay, so I've got to find words to learn. I've got to get the definitions or the translations. And I've got to memorize it somehow, right? So you break it down into 3 actions. And then you can say like, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to open my phone and I'm going to learn 10 new words. Every day, just 10 new words. So in order to do that, I've got to find 10 words, then I've got to translate it or find the meaning, and then I've got to memorize them somehow, right? That's the actions. And you build that into your day. While you're eating your breakfast, you do it. While you're on the train to work, you do it. While you're on your toilet break, wherever it is, you build it into your day and you do it over and over again until it becomes automatic, right? So step 2 is creating that workflow, building that into your life and your daily routine. So you don't really focus on the outcome of it. Your only focus is, okay, I need to repeat these steps today. That's it. It doesn't matter if you do it badly one day. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. You're just building that habit. The habit is much more important than the actual outcome, right? And then step 3, you can track your habits. Maybe you've got an app on your phone that you can do a to-do list, or you've got a calendar. You can mark it off on your calendar every day that you do it. And then look in a month's time. How many times did you do that this month? Look in 6 months' time. How many times did I do that action over the last 6 months? Yeah. Over a year. How many times did I learn 10 new words over a year? If you did it every single day for a year, that's like 3,600 words. That's a mental amount of words for such a small amount of effort. And imagine how much difference an extra 3,600 words would make to your English ability. Think about how much more you could understand. But if your goal is to learn 3,600 words, that seems proper difficult. But if your habit is to look up 10 new words a day, that's way, way more manageable. So that's step 1. Identify the tasks that need to be done. Step 2, create some kind of workflow, build it into your day. Step 3, do it consistently. Do it over and over again every day and track it. Track it. Can you make a mark on your calendar? Can you, have a post-it note on your desk that you check off as you do it? Whatever. Now, there's a lot more to this book. That if you're really interested, you can find this book on Amazon or whatever. There's a link in the show notes, or you can go to britspeak.co/atomic-habits. It's a great book. It's worth a read. And yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend giving it a look. But yeah, it's changed the way I think about it. And it's kind of reinvigorated my joy of studying Japanese, because I didn't enjoy studying Japanese for a long time, to be honest. I got really stagnant with it. I got sick of it. Because my goal was to learn 6,000 words and 6,000 kanji. And I'm like, that's too hard, mate. I don't fancy it. But now my goal is I'm going to sit down at my computer for 10 minutes every morning and learn some new words. I can do that. So yeah, I'm feeling better about Japanese. I'm back to studying again. And hopefully one day I'll feel like it's worthwhile. But for now, I'm not worried about that. I'm just focusing on doing it and enjoying it. And I am actually enjoying it a bit more than I used to, truth be told. Anyway, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, or you can go to britspeak.co/BritSpeakPod and you'll never miss an episode. But that's it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you there!